Okay. Options, music and sound effects. Sure, that seems fine. Okay. Let's full screen this. Oh, interesting. Um, oh, look, another boxy hero. Let me guess, you died for some noble cause and now you're here. Well, I suppose it doesn't matter now because I, the magnificent Malfizio, I'm going to give you another chance. All you have to do is get through my dark city of platforms, but remember, only once you live. Ooh. All right, Dr. Tronic, thanks for stopping by. Have a good evening. Oh, there's the music. Okay. Space to jump. Can do. Hold space for long jump. Yep. Okay. Small jump. Now double jump. Okay. Okay. So it is a jumpy endless runner. I'm guessing those kill me. Well, that's gonna kill me. Okay. I'm guessing 990 is not a very good score because I did not get very far in that song. Um, the frame rate's probably just my stream. Okay. Um, no, it's just on my stream. You can play the game. Oh, hang on. Did I not post the? I did, but I think people were chatting. So there's a link. You can see the game on your own browser and see that it is. Oh, okay. It didn't have the screen did not have focus, so I was trying to jump and nothing happened. Okay. Um, space to jump. Hold for long jump. And this is double jump. I guess there's. Feels like there's no reason not to double jump. These yellow triangle thingies, I feel like are. Wait. Oh, they make me bounce? Okay, so they don't kill me. I was worried about that. Nope, that killed me though. Um, we get a randomized mustache, and oh, that was interesting. Brought the world to a stop there. Um, I think we get a randomized mustache and eyes every time we play. Or am I slowing down because my character is getting older or something? Like this definitely feels slower now than it was when I first played. Wow, that sends me really high. Oh gosh, that kills me. Okay. Well, let's see. They do look like hazards. Okay, now hang on. We're back to our regular guy. Maybe the slow was just in my head. And double jump. It is a little on the slow side. Like I'm not. It really felt. There's something odd happening. I think with the zooming. Like I don't feel like it. Whoop. Oh my god, what happened there? Um, I don't feel like it should be possible to see stuff spawning in and out from the left and right side. Ooh, yeah, we're seeing like huge stuff disappearing from the background. Oh, and now it's speeding up or slowing down. I think that the platforms themselves are also moving. I wonder if it's anything to do with the zoom level that I've got it at, as why stuff is disappearing. Okay, it's good to know that after you touch these little triangle things, you can still get another jump. Because. Okay, doing better this time. But my god, is it ever speeding up? No, 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 no. Okay. Um, okay. So, um, okay. The only problem with the parallax background like that, I can tell that is going to mess up my motion sickness. I can't. I don't think I can play any more of the game than that. Unfortunately, that is definitely going to set off my motion sickness at some point. Um, yeah, I know what you mean. Like if the I think the platforms are a uniform thickness. Otherwise, it would look like some of them are actually in front of or like further into the scene, based on the speed that they move. Um, okay, so new features: bigger mustaches more often. Boxy Hero's mustache is bushier and makes an appearance 70% more often than previous versions. Um, I don't like. I don't know what's happening when the character hits the side of the screen. Um, it's a little weird. It feels like that should be killing me, but on the other hand, I can just keep mashing jump and get out from it. Um, yeah, I guess. Hmm. I think that the expectation would be that kills you. Yeah. Um, but yeah, just unfortunately the parallax was just a little too intense for me. So I think I'm not going to look at that last time because last time I did this, literally last Monday when I was doing the feedback stream, I made myself so sick that evening by just continuing to play one of the games, one of the submissions. So I'm sorry, I can't look at the screen anymore. Um, but okay. Good. I'm not very likely to throw up on stream. Like when I say motion sick, I don't mean like I'm not very likely to vomit, but I am very likely to like give myself a migraine. So, that's not great. Um yeah, the mustache on the character is really cute. Let's see. Okay, I think that we're good to ready to start the interview, Carl. Okay. Yeah, character design's cute for sure. I'll just turn the stream audio down a bit and close that. I wish there was a. Are there any? Can Mozilla? Why can I not save? I want to look at the image, not the thing. Okay. It would be cool if there are different things floating that did different things when you hit them. Oh yeah, like so those yellow things make you bounce up, and then other things maybe like speed up or slow down. Oh, one of them is a jump refresh. Yeah, speed up. Yeah, there we go. First thought the movement seemed a bit floaty. Fits the auto scroll style. I think the movement is floaty. And that is something I was going to mention. Is that I think, obviously, like with with the work that I'm doing on Worlds Within Worlds, I obviously have a preference for how I want platforming controls to feel, and that is the way that I built Worlds Within Worlds is to have a more like not super floaty, but um, well, I think if you've seen it before, the jump arc is pretty fixed. Like I think it probably feels closer to Mario. Meat Boy is pretty floaty. The ninja from Plus Plus is pretty floaty. I think my character, still unnamed, is a little less floaty than those characters. But in terms of the like acceleration, like jumping up, falling down, um, I think it must be a factor of how much I end up playtesting my own game here because anything that deviates from this kind of jump arc just feels weird to me. Let's put this palette back to default. I really do need a button that makes that easier to do. Um, like I think it's fine. Obviously, you want to coordinate your character's jump height to match the speed the platforms are moving in. But aside from that, I don't know. I can imagine a version of the auto scrolling just tuned a little bit differently for the short hops versus the long hops. More gravity might make the player have more control. Yeah, the other thing like I love in auto scrollers is still having a little bit of left and right directional input because if you miss a jump, that's just it. Very often, and you have no ability to recover from that. Um, I definitely prefer the ability to like imagine playing a platforming game where you're just stuck holding the button to the right nonstop. Um, yeah, it is very hard to adjust when you're only falling, and the only thing you can do is a double jump in midair, which you may or may not want to hold down. But the other thing that makes it hard to act on that is the fact that you have those little yellow caution thingies flying at you, and they move so quickly that you can't. Um, I don't know if you can reasonably predict because they're moving really quickly and they're also moving in a sinusoidal arc. You have to do some really quick calculation to figure out if those are going to hit you in the middle of your jump arc. You got to know like where it's going to be, where you're going to be, and because you don't have that left to right precision, the only thing you can do is adjust like how many ups you give your character. It's very hard. Like I feel like you're never going to hit one of these on purpose. I think you're going to hit them by accident. Like, sorry, I should say you're only going to hit these on purpose if they're really close to you when you jump. Like, if there's one that's like going this way and you decide, oh, I'm just going to jump right for that, then you can hit it. But if it's way on the other side of the screen, I don't think you can anticipate, oh, I should jump now so that I land on it as I'm falling down. Um, 1.5 triangle presses? Hmm. Um, but yeah, so I think that if these the fact that they move in the sine wave is what makes it hard to predict where they're going to be. If they still moved in a sine wave but not as quickly, that would make it still harder to predict. Um, Different types of floating objects, you could have them different movement patterns. So the valuable ones could be harder to hit. Yeah, so something something valuable like an extra life or something like that would be more difficult to grab, and it's like a bonus power up. Whereas these feel like obstacles; they feel like complications. Um, yeah. By the way, does anyone else have something they wanted to submit to today's stream? Because I've not heard back from the creator, from Ashley here. Um, so I don't know. Like it might just be supposed to be. Oh, okay. Well, sorry. I messaged you in Discord. I wanted to know if you wanted to start the actual interview. I think it's supposed to be A presses different controller. Wait. Okay. Okay. Sorry. I should have just said something out loud, but I thought that the Discord message would be good. Anyway. Yeah. Let's get the call going here. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm sorry I can't play more of the game while we talk about it, just because of the aforementioned motion sickness.
Hmm.
Has that been anything like how many other people have been able to try out the game?
There's been about like 7, 8 people that've tried it. Nobody's ever mentioned anything. like
Okay,
the
well, yeah, it's just because I am particularly motion sensitive when it comes to this stuff. So we're gonna look at my little doodle here. That's gonna have to do for us for now. Um, but yeah, so was there anything else you were looking for in terms of feedback about the game before we started with the regular interview questions?
uh not really. I mean, anything that you have to offer, like by all means, I'll take it. I was typing in the chat that like this was like the first game jam game I've ever made.
Mhm.
And so like yeah, this is and it's the second iteration. What I wanted to do with this was just sort of like have a finished product that is on the portfolio type of thing. Uh,
Absolutely.
so um I mean, I think it's a good start, and I definitely want to like the advice that we get a lot as like newbie game developers is to be like make a project and then do another one, make a project and do another one, right? So this is what this is, right? Like it's
Yes.
not perfect, but if I want to go back and make a sequel, for example, I
Yeah.
could take those like those feedbacks into consideration for the next one. So I definitely want to in the future make like a sequel where like the obstacles are sort of different and they have different like effects if you hit
Mhm.
them or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that a big thing that was mentioned is like how hard or how easy it is to actually coordinate your jumps to intersect with those. Just insofar as like it's really hard to predict when you're going to get hit by those. Like, and because they were yellow symbols,
Hmm.
I don't know what the picture was because they were spinning and moving pretty quickly, but I thought they were like I thought they were going to kill me,
Yeah.
which is just kind of like I have had the experience of like testing um, when I made my game here. I'm just going to pull this up for visual reference. Fortress. So when I made Robo's World Dazarnock Fortress, there are hazards in this game which are they invisible in any of the screenshots here? Yes, yes. Okay. So these shock orbs. The very first time I made these, I was like, oh yeah, I'll have a cool electric blue hazard, and because it's like sparking, players will know that they shouldn't touch it. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? They look like a power up, so
Right.
people ran into it. Um, then I was like, okay, I get it, I get it. Blue is a good color. Let's keep them be red. Then no one's gonna make that same mistake, right? And it's like, oh
Mhm.
no, 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 they still run into it. They still run into it. They think it's a power up. Okay. What eventually fixed it was a combination of two things.
Mhm.
First of all, I put these shock hazards. Um, I put them in a pit because red stuff isn't usually in a pit that it looks like you're supposed to jump over.
Right.
And the other thing I did was I made them move. Because more than anything, like when something is moving back and forth, it makes players like think twice about it. Sometimes bonus like power-ups move, especially in these auto-scroller type things. Um, but that's why you really have to work with the visual language. Stuff that is like bright and pulsing is helpful, and stuff that is like spiky or has angry eyebrows or something is
Yeah.
probably going to hurt you. But yeah, yellow activates my fear brain cells thanks traffic signals, as Chitori mentions. So what is the symbol on these yellow
Mm.
things?
I think it's skull and bones because in
Okay,
the
so
yeah
that's what I thought I
in
saw.
in the first version they definitely it was harder and it definitely punished you. Like if you hit it, you fell and you were dead, right? And so this like I never updated the graphic or anything. I added the bounce in the second iteration. So it's definitely there to like break your stride, but not punish you so severely.
Yeah,
So
and that's the other interesting thing is that when you've got something that's a clear negative, like this is going to kill you, okay, you go with some like skull and crossbones, red signaling, red or yellow, or something that is like very clearly signal for danger.
Hmm.
Um, but when you have the situation of, well, if you hit this, you bounce. That one's much more ambiguous because it's not expressly bad and it's not expressly good. Sometimes
Yeah.
you want to hit it, you want to bounce.
Yeah.
So I think that the best thing you can really do there is have one of these things hit the player while they're still on a large section of platforming, so that it's not likely to kill them. They just get the sense of, oh, that's what that does.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of thinking about that too. So like maybe something like adding it into like the tutorial at the beginning, right?
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, just so you get the little sense of knowing, like, okay, this is neither bad nor good. It's just contextual. I just need to watch out for it. I need to know what it does before. And it's not too big of a deal because the iteration time is pretty quick. So even if it does end up killing you, it's like, oh, okay, I'll try again. But I think the main issue is that you players are very likely to avoid it until they realize that it doesn't actually kill them, and then
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So it's as like it's not necessarily a question of is it a change you need to make to this game, as you said. Like it's probably best to just move on and maybe consider making a sequel someday. But
Yeah.
it's just like in the general sense of signaling, it's just something to keep in mind for future.
For sure.
Um,
Yeah.
Stationary pickups that are obviously pickups, and then have the moving ones be some kind of color, the same kind of color. Okay, yeah, so consistent coloration, consistent symbol. Remember, we want to make sure that these games are colorblind friendly because using red and yellow for somebody who's colorblind is not. I don't know if I did a good job of that in Zard Orchards. Did I? Yeah,
It's all red.
yeah. Well, this zone in particular is all red, but that's
Yeah.
fine. Like you can tell the difference
Mm.
between a platform and between a hazard.
Yeah.
Um, it's not like these shapes, these sprites are pretty well defined, so I think you can still visually tell like these things hurt you. And by the way, these are also moving in a sine wave, like up and down and so on. So
Hmm.
yeah, movement is a very good clue for it's going to hurt you. Um, but yeah, so having something that is that you encounter in a safe space and then later encounter it moving, yeah, giving the player that primer. That's a good idea.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, let's see. So in did you have anything else that you wanted to ask about the game?
Yeah. Actually, like you're able to find like the big issue in this game where uh it is parallax, but
Mm-hmm.
so the way that I have it set up is that the player stays like on the x axis like pretty consistently,
Mm-hmm.
and everything sort of passes by him, right, from right
Yeah.
to left, as you know. The
Yeah.
parallax is going, as long as it stays, as long as the player stays on the correct x-axis, everything is good. But the second, you know, you actually touch a platform, the
Yeah.
player actually moves back, and that's what causes that disturbance in the background, right?
Mhm.
What would you suggest to fix that?
Well, I think the easiest suggestion is just kill the player. Like, if the player hits something from the side, they're not like on the top of the platform. You can just kill them.
Hmm.
Um, Otherwise, there's from a programming perspective, there's a lot of different ways to solve that particular issue. Like,
Hmm.
it really just depends on how it's coded. This game was made with Coco's creator,
Yeah.
and I don't know anything about that engine. Like, what what language does it use?
TypeScript actually. I
I don't even know what TypeScript is.
it's like a different version of JavaScript. It sort of sits on top of
Okay,
JavaScript
okay,
and then sort of enforces like a strongly typed language for JavaScript.
okay.
Um, yeah, there you go. Yeah, strongly typed JavaScript.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. I was just like I knew JavaScript. I wanted to like continue learning about it. And at the time when I found the engine, that's what they were using, and then they moved to TypeScript. So I was just like,
Hmm.
oh dang, but might as well use it. And so it's I don't yeah, it's definitely not as popular as other engines, but I just wanted to use TypeScript. So
Okay, I know I've heard of Cocos 2D before.
yeah,
So,
that's C++, plus plus, I think.
okay. So Cocos Creator is their newer version of the tool? Or is it
I think
different?
it's like I think it's more lightweight for one, and I think it focuses
Okay,
on mobile and like web games.
I see. Hence the JavaScript.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Reminds me of ActionScript. Yeah, I never had the opportunity to program with Flash, sadly, so I don't have any program experience with ActionScript or JavaScript. I went straight from GameMaker language to C Sharp in Unity, and I have like a tiny bit of experience with C++, but my God, is that ever just a little too low level for my taste. Um, But yeah, so JavaScript is fun because it's all loosey goosey. Yeah, I mean, similarly, GameMaker has like non strictly enforced types and whatever. Like I can just declare a variable to be whatever the heck I want. I can just use not even just this var keyword. Like GameMaker uses the var keyword to signify that something is local to this script, um, to this chunk of code, uh, not just to signify that it's a yeah. Anyway, if I didn't have this var keyword here, then this move speed variable would be local to the entire object that this script ran in, as opposed to just this one chunk of code. Anyway, GameMaker's weird. Um, but yeah, so that's why I say, like, from a programming perspective, I don't know how you would, like, there's a lot of different ways to solve that. Like, if the player being in the wrong position has any influence on the background parallax, like, I feel like those two things just shouldn't be tied together.
Hmm.
Um, like the player's position. Wait, is the player moving?
No, the player's not moving.
Right, right. The player's standing completely still. Yeah. So
Yeah,
in that case, why does the player changing position mess with the parallax?
because the parallax is like in one position as well. I get. I mean, it's within a range of a position. It's kind of like two. How do I explain this? There's two sprites that are
Hmm.
side by side,
Yeah.
and then they move left
Hmm.
once it gets to a certain position. The first image gets transferred to the other side of the second image, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. So
Yeah,
like we've
yeah,
got our red box here, and then when the red box gets too far to this side of the screen, then it warps around to be
yeah,
touching this side
exactly.
instead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
So
that's
it
pretty standard
stays.
implementation.
Yeah, so it stays within like the range of like a position, but the
Hmm.
thing is that when the player gets pushed by a box,
Hmm.
player still gets moved outside of that range of the parallax's position,
Yeah,
and
but that's what I don't understand. Is like is
yeah,
the
me neither. It's been the bane of my existence for this game.
okay, I mean, yeah, like that's I don't understand how the player's position factors into this at all, because I would think that you just have a viewport and then stuff is measured relative to that viewport.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah, responding to
answering.
the
Yeah.
comment there. Um, yeah, okay, so the fact that the platform's gonna be influenced by the player, like I think there's I really I don't think we can really get into the implementation side of things because again I don't know how it's actually all coded up, but
Right.
all I can really say is the stuff should be moving relative to the entire viewport of the screen, um, and the player's position should not factor into it at all. So if you can find some place where the player's X position is being measured at all for the calculation of the moving parallax, like that's probably the problem.
Hmm.
Yeah, see if that can be made independent of the player's movement. Um, like when the player dies, you bring everything to a halt, but otherwise things just move at a constant rate. and
Yeah.
it's not tied to the player's score or position or anything like that.
Yeah. So
Um,
I was thinking for the sequel maybe is to
mhm.
just move the player, right? And just have endless.
No, no, you don't want to move the player. Keeping the player's position the same is the right way to do it. And
Yeah.
that's how every endless runner game does, like, should be coded, because you have to think about the fact that eventually, if the player position gets to be really large, you start running into problems with floating point handling.
Hmm.
Um, like, obviously, that's not a problem if your maximum score is like 10,000, but you just, yeah, you will run into more problems by actually moving the player. Um, it is better to just have the player be stationary or within like a bounded position. Because I was sort of making the suggestion of like, oh, it would be nice if the player had a little bit of left and right movement. Um, you still keep the player like bounded to a fixed position on screen and don't let them move anywhere outside of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or even if you let them move the entire width of the screen, but then yeah, like that is their bounded volume. And if they go off the left edge of the screen, then they die. Um, Anarchy is the solution. Anarchy is always the solution. You could add spikes to the side of the platform to make it visually clear. Yes, yes. If the platforms are going to kill the player, I mean, when something is abstract enough and you hit the side of the platform, like I have played enough of these things that's I don't need anything visual to tell me that yeah, touching the side of these platforms is going to kill me. Um, but it doesn't strictly have to kill the player. Um, the other thing that you don't have to do is have these all be platforms floating in space. Like these can be um, like generating something that is continuous and then just like sometimes has a gap in it. And then
Hmm.
touching the side of this doesn't kill the player. You just have to like it starts pushing you and you have to like jump and keep moving, otherwise you get pushed off, and then again like the left side of the screen kills you, and that's where you could have, again, you could have something like a laser beam chasing the player or a wall of spikes or something, but most people have played enough of these games that you can kind of rely on game literacy here to say like, okay, expectation, I go off the left side of the screen, I die.
Hmm.
um, if you want to make your game more friendly to people who have potentially never played an auto scroller before, then by all means have something chasing you that makes it clear that you're going to die.
Hmm.
Um, Scrolling, stopping when the player hits them wasn't too bad. I could understand if swipe the player off screen instead. Yeah, meant an instance when it actually pushed a platform relative to the other platforms. Yeah, because I think I did notice that as well. Like when if the player like hit the side of the platform, it did seem like it brought that platform to a halt.
No, it wasn't. It was actually moving like in a in a leftward position. You just didn't see it because of the way that the scene is set up. And
Right.
it's yeah, it's weird, and I've not been able to figure out an answer for that yet.
Okay, so it does just sound like a implementation issue more than anything.
Hmm.
Um. Okay, so I don't think we have time to do the sort of like regular interview questions that I go through because there's a good number of them. But the emphasis is always the feedback for these for Monday, at least for the feedback for all. Let's see. Seemed like the player might just be pushing the platform, but it might have just been, yeah, it might have just been a coincidence. Um, so do you have something in mind that you're going to be working on next, like after this project?
Yeah, I'm actually working on a match three game right now. Uh,
And a RTS multiplayer?
and an RTS multiplayer. Yeah, it's just they're all like going to be prototype stuff, just again for the portfolio. But
Mm-hmm.
the match three is coming along pretty nicely. I'm just working on the title page right now, and essentially I've set it up like the where the main mechanic works, and you can shuffle the tiles if you get
Mm-hmm.
stuck. And for the RTS, it's that's going to take a while, but basically,
Yeah.
when I was first learning Unity, they had a tutorial where you control a ball and other balls try to push you off this platform,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, wouldn't it not be fun if you had a multiplayer version of that game, where you and your friends just try to push each other off a platform.
And where does the RTS aspect factor into it?
Oh wait, that was my first idea. The RTS is sorry,
Okay,
uh, is something that's still like I've
more
gotten.
conceptual.
Yeah, it's more conceptual right now.
Okay.
But I got you know, learning about mirror on Unity and stuff like that. So
Yep, yep. Multiplayer is fun. I've definitely enjoyed my fair share of multiplayer games, but netcode is a whole other beast
yes.
to tackle. So, yeah, all right. Well, if you do have something else that you want to talk about or show off on the stream, then always feel welcome to do so. But thank you so much for coming on and talking about. Okay, I'm gonna get the name of it wrong. Only Once You Live. What's the name? Why is it a
Why
corruption
is
of
it?
YOLO?
Because that's what the theme was for the game jam was YOLO.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Yeah, so this was made for well, what jam was it made for?
I think it was called like Game Hide or something, like HIGHED, and it was based in Sweden or something. And I think it was like some university that was putting it on. It was on
Okay,
HIO, and the timing was right, so I was like, why not?
yeah, for sure. So in general, how have you felt about the reception for the game? Are you happy with the feedback you've been getting? Like
Yeah,
not
I've
just me,
been
other people playing as well.
yeah. Like I have uh this lady who looked at the first iteration and she was like, okay, first off, you need to go back to the drawing board here. And I was like, oh, that hurt. But it was fair, you know? But people in general have really liked like how it sort of developed over time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good. It's like, so what was with that first iteration that was like led to such harsh
Oh,
criticism?
it was a lot of what does she call it? Leaps of faith,
Oh, like you
which is
couldn't
like a
see where you were going to land. You just had to jump for it.
yeah, because the way that the platforms were spawning, and they were a
Yep.
lot smaller too, right? Which made the game even harder.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Yeah.
That is something that I always tell people. Like, as soon as possible. Like, please, please, please graduate from the school of making blocks and platforms that are only as wide as your protagonist character or
Hmm.
smaller, because
Hmm.
it's just not fun. Like, I'm sorry, those kind of like super tight platforming games are not appealing to me personally. Maybe there are people out there who want to play those kinds of games specifically, but I feel like the people making those aren't making it for that crowd. They're just making it because, oh, it just makes sense to have platforms that are the same size as your character. Like, well, that makes the game way harder than you probably meant it to be. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely learning quickly that if you think your game is okay, it's probably too hard. You have to make it easier.
yep, yep, that's always a good bit of advice as well. Is just always keep in mind that you, as the developer, are going to have more familiarity with your controls. Like, I've made some games that I think that are even up on itch.io that where the jump controls are floaty as, and you know, so don't feel bad if it takes a little bit of time to really dial that in.
Hmm.
Uh, okay, no, it's not publicly available anymore. I think I might have hidden it. But yeah, so yeah, it's just a totally like natural thing that you get a feel for what feels good in a platforming game. And I've watched a fair number of videos talking about like jump acceleration and so on. And you spend a lot of time refining what like platformers are deceptively simple to make, but deceptively hard to get right. Like a lot goes into the acceleration, how quickly you jump versus how quickly you fall versus how much hang time you have versus, can you wall jump? What do you stick to the wall? How quickly do you slide down the wall? And like how do you need to be holding against the wall? Like there's a lot of questions that you need to answer.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. As Chitori says, it's very hard to get the feel right. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the stream today, and best of luck with your future projects.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, bye bye for now.